Hello, I'm Joe Jones and welcome to People in Perspective. On this edition, I have my guest Douglas Hanson. He is an attorney.
Hello, Joe.
Thanks for coming here today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so how long have you been a lawyer?
I'm going to be a lawyer for 25 years next November. So I just completed my 24th year of practicing law.
Okay. Where did you get your education at?
Well, I got my undergraduate degree from University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, where I went to school for an accounting degree. I then went to law school at Chicago-Kent College of Law, which is a division of IIT, and I've got the distinction of being a valedictorian in my law school, along with my father, who was a valedictorian of that law school, and we're the only two father and son valedictorian team that I'm aware of in the history of that law school.
That's interesting. What kind of law do you currently practice?
Currently, I am the head of our commercial and residential real estate department, as well as the head of the estate planning and wealth management department. So those are my two main areas of law, but as a CPA, I also do tax law and general business corporate transactional law.
What's a wealth management department?
The wealth management department is, that's the department that handles the creation of wills and trusts for people so that they can transition assets from one generation to the next generation. So for example, if your father was for example, was supposed to pass away, he probably has a will where he leaves his assets to your mother. And that the procedure of preparing a will like that or preparing another type of document, which is a trust, is something that my department is in charge of. And then various clients of ours would then put down their wishes on a piece of paper. In this case, if the paper is to take effect upon someone's death, that would be a will document. If it is supposed to take effect during someone's life, that is generally a trust document.
What inspired you to become a lawyer?
The inspiration to become a lawyer was my father. Since I was about 5 years old, I knew that I wanted to practice law with him. He was a real estate attorney. He had a boutique real estate law firm called Hanson and Schuyler. And my father passed away quite early on in life. He passed away 2 weeks after I got my law license back in 1987, and I inherited a 95% interest in that firm. So when I was about 25, 26 years old, I had inherited a 12-person commercial real estate firm, 95% interest of it. So.
What firm do you currently belong to?
My firm is called Schuyler Roche and Chrisham PC. Mr. Chrisham and Mr. Roche are still both alive. Met with Mr. Roche this afternoon about some matters. Mr. Schuyler is no longer with us. He practiced law into his 90s and passed away about 10 years ago.
What types of law does your firm handle?
At Schuyler Roche, we handle all kinds of law. I think the easiest way to describe what we handle is what we do not handle. We are primarily a litigation firm, although that's not really what I do. What I do is generally transactional in nature, but we are a litigation firm for the most part. We are the head litigation firm for UBS, which is out of Europe. And we handle all of their what's called restricted covenant litigation, meaning when a financial advisor goes from one firm, say UBS, over to, for example, Merrill Lynch, when that particular person would go from being an employee of UBS to being an employee of Merrill Lynch, he would have signed what's called restricted covenant papers, causing him to not be able to compete with his then current firm. And we handle litigation when people come to UBS from other firms and they've got a covenant not to compete. And we handle when people leave our firm and we've got to stop them from competing with UBS. So we handle that litigation, and then we are A full-service international law firm, and one of our largest clients is a medical device company that has offices throughout the world. One of the other things that facilitates our ability to practice law internationally is a group called Mackerel International. So I am one of two people that are Mackerel International delegates. So we've got our office is located in downtown Chicago. That's our only office. But because we're part of Mackerel International, we've got offices all over the world. Huge coverage in South America, Central America, North America, Europe, limited coverage in Africa. But because we're part of that group of lawyers, we've got the ability to transact business all over the globe.
What other types of law are there?
Well, there's certainly two types of law in general. One is civil, and the other one is criminal. Of course, we all know criminal is that's defending people against crimes. Civil can take all types of things like litigation. I mentioned that earlier. Just to be clear, litigation is courtroom work. And it's where we're going to prove our case in front of a judge or a jury. Again, that's probably 65% of what our firm does is general civil litigation with a concentration in the restricted covenant work that I was talking about before. But we do all kinds of transactional work, buying and selling businesses. We handle estate planning work. We handle what's called post-mortem administration of estates. So once someone dies, someone's going to handle the settlement of those affairs for that person, and we do a lot of that work. That's called post-mortem trust administration or decedent's estate administration work. Other than that, things, for example, that we really don't do much intellectual property law. We do not do criminal law. But other than that, we're a full-service law firm.
Are you registered to do any other types of law?
Well, law's a bit funny. There's no real registration process other than you've got to pass the bar exam and you've got to go to law school and otherwise comply with the requirements of the ARDC here in the state of Illinois. And I'm only, unlike other industries, I am only licensed to practice law in the state of Illinois. I could go to other states and be admitted temporarily. That's called pro hoc vice, and temporarily appear in court on other matters. Otherwise, I've got to pass the bar in those other states.
Thank you for the interview, and thank you for coming today. This has been People in Perspective, and I'm Joe Jones.